get familiar. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar.
Hello students, welcome back to my video. So this is the video part number 4 for you, right? So I think in the video part 3, so what we have discussed, we just go through the video 3 once again. So we have derived the equations for Lorentz transformations, right? So now the derived Lorentz transformations based on the special theory of relativity have some important applications, or we can say they have some significances also. So now let us see what are the major applications or significance of Lorentz transformations. Okay, so let us see the first one. When the coordinates of an event or the equations in one system are given. What do you mean by that? So if you have some event or some equations in with respect to a particular system, or you can say with respect to a particular coordinate system, that is frame of reference, yes. So we assume that the frame of reference is always one of the frame of reference is fixed, other one is maybe moving, right? So now with respect to fixed frame of reference, if you have the equations for event, okay, or coordinate system, then the coordinates of the same event or the equations representing the same phenomena in the other system can be readily deduced by using the Lorentz transformations, right? So with the help of Lorentz transformations, easily we can get the equations related to the moving frame of reference, okay, if you know the same equations with respect to fixed frame of reference, right? So in that way Lorentz transformation equations are very useful, correct? Okay, now what is the second one? Lorentz transformations become considerable only for small velocities. Okay, so that means if we consider the moving frame of reference, okay, that relative motion of the moving frame of reference v should be less than velocity of light. What is this c? Velocity of light. So we should not consider the velocity. Of course we have to consider the moving frame of reference almost moving with the velocity of light, you can say, but never equal to c. It should be less than v. Okay, but at the same time you should remember that if that relative velocity v is very small, okay, very much smaller than the velocity of light compared to that velocity of light, then what happens in the calculation? So v is very small, but in the denominator we have c square, so automatically this v by c square is negligible. Similarly v square and c square, okay, so this v square and c square also tends to be almost 0 for you, right? So with respect to larger denominators, so both the equations v by c square and v square by c square tends to 0. And what happens to the value of k in the Lorentz transformations? So that is plus or minus, square root of 1 minus v square by c square. If you substitute v square by c square is equal to 0, so the value of k reduces to 1. Then the actual equations of Lorentz transformation equations will become like this: x dash is equal to x minus vt only, where k is equal to 1, you will get only x minus vt, and y dash is equal to only y, z dash is equal to z. Okay, t dash also we have equation in Lorentz transformation, but here t dash is equal to t only once you take k is equal to 1. So these set of equations are called Galilean transformations. So that means Lorentz transformation equations will reduce to Galilean transformations if you consider the velocity v very much smaller than velocity of light c, isn't it? So v is very much smaller than c, that is why we have double smaller symbol here. Then Lorentz transformations reduces to Galilean transformation. So that condition you should remember. So you have to consider always the velocity almost equal to c but less than c, but it should not be very much smaller than c again. Not a very small moving frame of reference is considered in the Lorentz transformation. Okay. Now look at the next one about the measurements of time and position. So as you know, there is a difference in measurement of time and position with respect to two frames of reference. So we can conclude that the measurement of time as well as position depends upon the frame of reference of the observer. Okay, whether we are measuring with respect to a fixed observer or moving observer. So depending upon that you will get different values for time and position, correct? So that we can say the two events. So whatever we measure, suppose if there are two events measuring with respect to s and s dash, okay, so what is the difference between the two events? Okay, that is called actually the time interval. Okay, the time interval between the two events, so which is measured simultaneously with respect to s and s dash. Then whether they are all same with respect to Gaussian transformation, of course you will get delta t is equal to delta t dash. Okay, that is with respect to Gaussian transformations. But now with respect to Lorentz transformations, see here the events which occur simultaneously in one frame of reference need not be simultaneous. Okay, they not be measured simultaneously as viewed from the another observer, another frame of reference observer. Clear? So that is what you have to understand from the Lorentz transformations here. Clear? Okay. So next importance of the Lorentz transformation is, so as I told, the velocity of the moving frame of reference. Suppose if in the equations, if the velocity of the moving frame of reference v is greater than c, okay, it is not possible, of course. Okay, so if it should be actually less than c, we told already, right? Suppose if v is greater than c, what happens? Look at the equation. Suppose if v is greater than c, in the equation of k, that is 1 by k, let us say you can take a reciprocal of the k, it is square root of 1 minus v square by c square in the equation. So it will become imaginary. So when v, that means the numerator factor is greater than the velocity of light, you will get some imaginary value. So indeterminate values are not allowed in the calculation. Okay, and hence you can conclude that no body can move with greater than that of the light. So that means light velocity is the ultimate. Okay, no other body can move greater than the velocity of light as we assumed here. So this assumption cannot be considered practically, right? So these are the things actually we extracted or concluded from the Lorentz transformations and applied for various calculations also. Okay, so I think we can see the further application of Lorentz transformations in the next video. Okay, see you and thank you for watching this video.